Influencer series on Founders Live on public speaking and communications. Today I've got a great topic for you. It's one you're going to enjoy, and it's probably the most serious one that you're going to experience with us this year because it's one that seems to affect everybody. It's how to avoid stage fright. We're calling it Confidence Game. How to take the room or the stage by storm and avoid stage fright. So I've got some great tips for you. Once again, we're coming to you live from Atlas Workbase at 500 Mercer Street. It's the co-working space that I use when I need some peace and quiet, or when I want to have a meeting in a comfortable setting with a client or one of my team. It's close to I-5, 520. It can get you easily to South Lake Union, Uptown, Downtown, Belltown. It's a great spot. If you need a co-working space, you should check it out, and we're really grateful to them for helping us out and letting us shoot so many of our videos here. But let's get on with the show. You want to know how you can get on stage, take the room by storm, and avoid having stage fright. Hi, I'm Bryan Rutberg from 3C Communications, back with you on Founders Live for another one of our monthly influencer series. This month, we've got a great one for you. If you've ever been a little concerned about going on stage, and they say that more people are scared of getting up and talking in front of a room than are scared of dying. So seriously, people would rather be dead than standing on stage? Nah, we're gonna fix that today. The name of today's Ask Me Anything on Founders Live Influencer series is the Confidence Game. How to take the stage or room by storm without stage fright. Now, stage fright, we can admit, right? It's all in our heads. It's nothing that the audience is doing to us. It's nothing that the people who've arranged for us to get in front of a group have done to us. It's all in your head. So we're going to talk about ways that you can put yourself at ease, both by being prepared and by doing a couple of things that actually play with your brain and get you to be ready to jump out there and take that room and own it. First, let's talk about how you can prepare as well as possible. And really, that means you've got to know your audience and you've got to know your stuff. Before I get in front of a crowd of people, whether it's 8 or 10 in a room, or whether it's 1,000 people at a conference, I make sure I know who's going to be in the audience. Not their names, not what they do for a living, except generally, but I talk with the event organizer and I make sure that I've got some sense of what did they come here to learn, what are they expecting from me, what's their attitude towards the content that I'm going to deliver. And of course, I'm talking about public speaking, but whether you're talking about trying to get more money from your boss for a project that you're working on, or pitching a venture capital firm, or an angel investor, or whether it's in the normal course of your doing business, or when you want to show off what you know in front of a group, there's always a way to learn more about who's going to be in the room. If it's colleagues, you're going to have a pretty good sense of what they feel about what you're going to be bringing to them, what questions they're likely to have. And the more prepared you are, the better you're going to feel and the more prepared you're going to feel when you go up on stage. The second tip, practice, practice, practice. The old joke, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. If you don't know that, look it up. It'll probably be worth the time you spend on Google to do it. Practice. Make sure if you're working from prepared remarks and you're trying to share a point of view, that not only do you really have it internally, but that you've prepared the right words to get your point across. Make time on your calendar for that kind of preparation. Talk to yourself when you're driving, when you're in the shower. Talk to your pets, your houseplants, the people you live with, colleagues, of course, so you can sort of pre-try some of the points you're going to make and see how they react and what questions they come up with. But if you feel like you know the audience and you know your stuff and you practice, that's going to take away a lot of the need for you to feel stage fright before you go on. Some of the things you can do right up to the moment. You should, anytime you've got the opportunity, do a tech check and check out the room that you're going to be speaking in. If it's a conference room for 6 or 8 people, you probably know it already. You've got a pretty good idea, but make sure the projector works. Make sure that your computer plugs into it. Make sure if there's a microphone that it works and you know how it works. If you're really doing a presentation and they're going to put a clicker in your hand or you're going to use a clicker of your own, make sure it's all connected, make sure it works. The little things that can throw you off your game once you're on stage and make you feel self-conscious and start to get nervous, eliminate as much of those as humanly possible. Do a tech check, walk the room. And then there's what we at 3C like to call pre-gaming. And no, I don't mean you should do a shot of tequila before you go on stage, at least not usually. What you really need to do is think about the things that brain science tells us builds up your confidence and removes your inhibitions. We talk about power poses. We talk about what every runner or athlete you've ever seen score a goal or break the tape at the end of the run does. You even do it, I'll bet, if you're sitting in a bar watching your favorite sports team. When they score, when they do something great, you go like this. And when you're standing like this, you are actually bringing more testosterone into your body and reducing cortisol levels. And a power pose like that helps you be more confident. They did a study in which they looked at people who were doing betting games. And people who held power poses for up to a minute had more inclination to take modest risks than people who didn't. Well, what is getting up on stage and not being afraid of it, except taking a modest risk? You should hold a power pose in the green room before you go on stage, or go into the ladies or the men's room and do one of these for a couple of minutes before you go on stage. It's going to look silly, so you might laugh at yourself and you might want to avoid other people, but by doing this, or doing the classic, what they call the Wonder Woman pose, so the hands on hips, or I like the one that the picture you see of presidents and prime ministers and serious executives, hands on the table, shoulders straight, staring out into the distance, pushing into that table. Those kinds of power poses actually have a physical effect on you and touch your brain in a way that makes you feel like taking a bit of a risk, and that reduces your inclination towards stage fright. The other thing you can do is, while you're holding that power pose, talk to yourself. Tell yourself how great you're going to be. Again, brain science tells us you'll get better results if, instead of saying, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to be great, it's going to be super, the audience is going to love me. If you use the third person, it actually sets you at a little bit of a mental remove from yourself. So if you say, Bryan is going to be great when he goes out on stage, the audience is going to react to him. You're actually building up your mental preparedness and changing your brain in a way that reduces your inclination to stage fright. The last thing I'll talk about with pre-gaming, second to last, I've got a bonus one for you. The last thing I'll talk about is you need to get your voice ready. If you are a little bit nervous, the first place it's going to show up for your audience is in your voice, and you want to do a couple of vocal exercises. They all sound dumb, but they do have the effect of getting you ready and getting you out of your own head. Just simple la 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 la's. Or I like to stick out my tongue and go through the vowels. A, E, I, O, U, right? Getting that tongue back out and shaking your head and making yourself a little loosey-goosey, like that, right? Any sort of nursery rhyme or tongue twister that you were raised with as a kid. Good blood, bad blood, good blood, bad blood, good blood, bad blood. It's just going to get you out of your own head. The last pregame note I'll make for you, I was doing a webinar last week for the Washington State Bar Association, two of them actually, offering certified credentials for legal education on a couple of topics that were germane to lawyers. And I made sure, before we started the 90-minute phone calls that made up the two webinars, while I was pre-gaming and I was in the men's room doing this or doing this, I did the other thing that a person might want to do in a men's room or a ladies' room. Make sure that nothing is going to distract you before you get out on stage. So my last pregame tip is take care of business before you go on stage. It's just one less thing that could trip you up once you're out there. So that's it. There's a couple of quick tips for you on how to avoid stage fright. I'm looking forward to hearing that it goes great for you. If you're watching live, I'll see you on the Ask Me Anything in just a moment. If you're not watching live and you're catching this on replay, shoot me a message on Founders Live. Let me know if these tips work for you. Thanks.